New York, Harlem. 7 years after being spared by Bumpy Johnson, a man returns with a carefully planned scheme for revenge. But the closer a professional hitman gets to his target, the more unpredictable the entire story becomes. Subscribe now so you don't miss future stories. Here, we tell the legendary stories of Harlem's criminal underworld. Grab a cup of tea, we're getting started. 8:06. Harlem wakes in layers. First the trucks, then the shutters, then the voices. Metal rises from storefronts. Bottles strike wooden crates. A bus groans at the corner and leaves black smoke hanging above Lenox Avenue. The city does not wake peacefully. It negotiates with morning. Bumpy Johnson sits in the rear booth of a narrow diner. Black coffee, untouched toast, a folded newspaper beside his hand. The window gives him the street. The mirror behind the counter gives him the door. A man who watches only what is in front of him eventually becomes part of someone else's view. The waitress approaches with the coffee pot. Bumpy raises one finger. Enough. Routine is useful, but every routine becomes dangerous the moment another man learns it. 8:10. Across the avenue, the second floor of an abandoned tailor shop has no electricity, no heat, no furniture except a broken chair and a work table buried beneath dust. Daniel Mercer needs none of them. He kneels behind a dirty window. A rifle rests on 2 folded blankets. The blankets prevent vibration. Professionals do not trust windowsills. Buildings move. Mercer looks through the scope. Bumpy's booth appears between 2 strips of faded lettering left on the glass. The distance is clean. The angle is acceptable. The wind is almost nothing. Almost is a dangerous word. He checks the watch inside his coat. Not to learn the time, to confirm it. Time isn't numbers, it's alignment. His finger remains beside the trigger, not on it. Preparation and decision are not the same thing. Confusing them gets people buried. 8:15. Bumpy opens the newspaper. Politics, strikes, men who were important yesterday. He turns past all of it. Outside, a man in a gray overcoat stops beside a mailbox. He lights a cigarette, does not smoke it, waits 12 seconds, then walks away. Bumpy watches the man's reflection in the diner glass. The stranger never looks toward the booth. That is what makes him interesting. Curious men look, working men pretend not to. A young messenger enters carrying several envelopes. He gives one to the cashier, then one to Bumpy. "Mr. Johnson?" Bumpy studies his hands. Clean fingernails. No ink. Messengers live in paper. Paper leaves evidence. Bumpy accepts the envelope. The young man leaves quickly, not running. Running confesses. Speed without panic is harder to read. 8:20. Mercer sees the delivery. He sees Bumpy place the envelope beside the coffee instead of opening it. Most men read messages immediately. Powerful men make messages wait. Mercer adjusts the scope. The target remains calm. No visible bodyguard. No weapon on the table. The absence bothers him. Important men are rarely alone. When they appear alone, the room itself may be working for them. Bumpy finally opens the envelope with a butter knife. Inside is a single piece of paper, 6 typed words. The street is quiet before it closes. Bumpy reads the sentence once. No second look, no change in his face. Fear likes witnesses. Control prefers privacy. He covers the message with the newspaper and drinks his coffee. Cold now. He drinks it anyway. Across the street, Mercer begins to understand why the client paid so much. 8:25. Bumpy stands. Mercer settles the rifle. This is the first clean moment. Bumpy's chest is visible, no obstruction. Mercer inhales. Half a breath. Holds. The crosshairs stop above the heart. Then the kitchen door opens. Steam rolls into the diner. White. Thick. For less than a second, Bumpy disappears. Mercer does not fire. Amateurs shoot at memory. Professionals shoot at certainty. The steam clears. Bumpy is no longer beside the booth. He has moved toward the counter. The angle is gone. Mercer lowers the rifle slightly. A missed opportunity is not failure. It is information. Bumpy buttons his coat and turns toward the street. Not directly toward the tailor shop, but close enough. Something tightens behind Mercer's ribs. Instinct is the body reading a room before the mind finishes the sentence. 8:30. Bumpy leaves through the kitchen. The false messenger's observer, seated near the counter, notices too late. By the time he stands, Bumpy has already crossed the rear alley. A dark Buick waits beside the ash cans. Leon Graves sits behind the wheel. Quiet, broad shoulders. No habit of asking questions before the car moves. Bumpy enters the rear seat. South first. Leon starts the engine. Then, after the second light. Good drivers know a destination is not always a place. Sometimes it is a test. The Buick leaves the alley. Bumpy watches the rear window. No one follows immediately. Immediate followers are easy. The dangerous ones already know where you are going. Bumpy unfolds the typed message again. The street is quiet before it closes. Not a threat. Threats explain what will happen. This explains nothing. That makes it more useful. 8:35. Mercer remains in position for 20 seconds after Bumpy disappears. He does not rush. Rushing after a lost shot creates another target. He removes the rifle bolt, wraps the weapon in canvas, places every piece inside a carpenter's case. Nothing remains except dust that was already there. At the bottom of the staircase, Mercer stops. A delivery cart blocks the front entrance. Two men argue beside it. Too loud, too theatrical. Noise can be accidental, or it can be a curtain. Mercer returns upstairs and looks through a crack. The gray overcoat man from the mailbox stands across the street. No cigarette now, hands in pockets. Watching the diner, not the tailor shop. Mercer waits. One hunter is danger. Two hunters are a question. He leaves through the basement and enters a service alley behind the buildings. A green sedan is waiting. 8:40. The Buick turns south. Leon checks the mirror. Blue Ford. Bumpy does not look back. How long? Since the alley. Close? Not enough. The Ford stays 3 cars behind. Not gaining, not falling back. That is not traffic. That is arithmetic. At the next light, Bumpy says, "Turn left." Leon turns right. The Ford hesitates. Only a fraction. Then follows. A man can prepare for instructions. He cannot prepare for contradiction. Leon glances into the rearview mirror. Right was wrong. That's why we took it. The Ford closes 1 car length. Bumpy adjusts his cuff. No gun drawn. No change in breathing. Panic is permission. It tells the other man his plan is working. Ahead, a bus pulls from the curb. Leon moves behind it. For 6 seconds, the Buick disappears. 8:45. The Buick exits the bus's shadow and accelerates through a yellow light. The Ford is trapped behind red. Leon checks the mirror. Gone. No. 2 blocks later, a cream-colored Oldsmobile appears. Same distance, same speed, different men. A tale can change cars. A plan can change clothes. Habits remain. Bumpy studies the storefront reflections. The Oldsmobile avoids driving directly behind them. Professional enough, not perfect. Perfect men do not exist. Only men whose mistakes have not been noticed yet. Bumpy folds the message and puts it inside his coat. Someone wants him watching the street. That means the real danger may not be on it. Parking structure, he says. Leon turns toward 125th Street. The Oldsmobile remains behind them. No closer, no farther. Counting is how frightened men soothe themselves. Bumpy does not count cars. He counts intentions. 8:50. The Buick enters a covered parking structure. Leon drives toward the second level. The Oldsmobile remains outside. Bumpy gets out before the turn. He walks between concrete pillars. Engines echo below. A delivery van waits near the far wall. Its side door opens. Isaac Bell steps out. Tall, quiet. A former dock worker who learned that lifting crates and lifting secrets use different muscles. Isaac hands Bumpy a notebook. 3 unfamiliar cars since yesterday. Plates? 2 borrowed, 1 false. Faces? Working on them. The same black Lincoln appears twice in the notes. Once near Bumpy's apartment. Once outside the diner before dawn. Repetition is not proof, but proof begins with repetition. Who knows my breakfast schedule? Bumpy asks. Isaac thinks. Too many? Then make the number smaller. Power is not knowing everything. Power is deciding who gets to know what tomorrow. 8:55. Mercer enters a warehouse beneath an elevated train line. The green sedan drives away. Inside, he opens the carpenter's case and cleans the rifle. Not because it is dirty, because repetition prevents thought from becoming emotion. Photographs of Bumpy cover a table, entering restaurants, leaving a club, walking outside a pharmacy. Weeks of observation reduced to paper. Paper lies better than people. It freezes a moment and pretends it is a habit. Mercer arranges the photographs by date. 1 is missing. The Tuesday stack should contain 7. There are 6. He checks the case. The floor. The envelope beneath the table. Nothing. The missing photograph showed Bumpy standing outside an old laundry on 139th Street. Mercer remembers because Bumpy had looked toward the camera. Not at it. Toward it. There is a difference. Only 2 men besides Mercer had access to the file. The client and the client's courier. 9 o'clock. Bumpy leaves the parking structure in the Buick. The Oldsmobile pulls away before they reach the exit. It does not follow. Not anymore. The watchers have learned what they needed. Or think they have. Leon drives west. Bumpy studies the notebook. 1 license plate is registered to a man named Martin Crew. No criminal record. No known crew. No Harlem connections. That makes him more suspicious, not less. Clean records are often purchased by dirty money. Find Crew, Bumpy says. Alive? Finding begins before deciding. The Buick passes beneath the elevated tracks. Shadow cuts across Bumpy's face in bars. Light, dark, light again. A city can make every man look imprisoned for half a second. Church bells begin in the distance. 9 o'clock. The morning has barely started. Someone has already used 3 cars, 1 false messenger, and a rifle. That is expensive. Expensive usually means personal. 9:05. At a closed barbershop, Isaac brings in the young messenger. The boy's cap is gone. Without it, he looks 19, maybe younger. Bumpy sits in the barber's chair while a hot towel is placed across his face. Ordinary surroundings make truth feel exposed. Name? Calvin Price. Who gave you the envelope? A white man. Description? Thin, dark hair, brown coat. Name? He never said. Payment? $20. $20 buys hunger, not loyalty. Bumpy removes the towel. What were you supposed to do after delivery? Calvin hesitates. Silence does not ask. It waits until the answer becomes heavier than the mouth. He told me to report where you went. Why? I don't know. Where were you supposed to meet him? Ellis Street, behind the pool hall. Bumpy stands. Go. Isaac looks at him. Let him leave? A frightened messenger leads backward. 9:10, Calvin returns to Ellis Street. One of Isaac's men follows from half a block away. Calvin waits beside the pool hall. 5 minutes. Then a shoeshine boy approaches and points toward an alley. Calvin enters. 2 minutes later, he returns alone. The envelope is gone. The observer enters the alley. Empty. No rear door, no fire escape. Only a trash bin and a narrow service hatch near the ground. The hatch opens into the basement of a closed furniture store. The brown coat man planned the exchange before sunrise. Prepared roots, prepared children, prepared silence. This is not intimidation. It is structure. And structure means someone has studied Harlem without being noticed. That is what Bumpy respects. Not because it frightens him, because understanding another man's plan is the first step toward owning it. By the time Calvin leaves the block, 3 of Bumpy's men are already watching the furniture store. 9:15. Bumpy crosses the avenue and enters the abandoned tailor shop. Leon follows. Dust lies across the floor except for a narrow path to the stairs. On the second floor, Bumpy stops beside the window. 2 compressed marks remain on the sill. Folded blankets. A faint circle in the dust. Rifle support. Leon looks through the dirty glass toward the diner. A clean line. Whoever sat here had you. Bumpy studies the empty room. No. Leon turns. He had a view. Isaac searches the floor and finds a black wool thread near the stairs. Fine weave. Expensive glove. Not proof. Still useful. The room smells faintly of machine oil. Too much. A rifle cleaned before the shot. Professionals usually clean after, unless they wanted the smell left behind. Nothing here feels accidental. Even the mistakes are arranged. Bumpy looks toward the diner. The shooter did not discover his routine today. He built today around it. 9:20. At the warehouse, Mercer calls the client's courier. Felix Ward answers from a hotel room. The client wants a meeting at noon, Felix says. Why? He wants progress. Progress is visible when the work is finished. He insisted. Insistence is fear wearing expensive shoes. Mercer looks at the empty space in the photograph stack. Who removed the laundry picture? Silence. Then Felix says, what picture? Real surprise, or a good imitation. Mercer cannot tell yet. The client changed the file. Maybe it wasn't important. Then why remove it? Felix lowers his voice. Ask him at noon. The line clicks dead. Mercer replaces the receiver. A missing photograph is louder than a weapon. Someone does not want him looking at the laundry, which means the laundry matters. A professional killer should avoid unnecessary questions. Questions create hesitation. Hesitation moves the rifle. Mercer takes his coat. He decides to visit the building anyway. 9:25. Bumpy returns to his office above a pharmacy. The typed message lies beside a city map. The diner, the tailor shop, the furniture store. 3 points. No visible connection. Good plans hide connections. Great plans replace them with coincidences. Isaac enters with another report. The black Lincoln was seen yesterday near an old laundry Bumpy owns, on 139th Street. Bumpy looks up. When? Late afternoon. Who was inside? Unknown. The laundry has not been used for serious business in years. That is what makes it interesting. Old places keep old reputations after their purpose dies. Bumpy circles the address. The man in the brown coat had asked about the building. The shooter's file had included it. The Lincoln had watched it. A dead location has suddenly attracted living attention. Memory has entered the morning. It has not given its name. Not yet. 9:30. Mercer walks past the laundry without slowing. The windows are covered with steam. A sign reads, "Machines out of order. Reopen." At noon inside, a large man stands near the rear hallway. No customers. Mercer enters a grocery store across the street and buys matches. Through the glass, he watches. An old woman approaches the laundry. The door opens before she touches it. She enters. 5 minutes later, she leaves without clothes. No basket. No package. Mercer studies the building. The client claimed the laundry was irrelevant. Irrelevant places do not receive guards before breakfast. A black sedan turns the corner. Mercer recognizes the driver from the surveillance photographs. One of Bumpy's men. The missing photograph becomes heavier. Mercer leaves the grocery store and continues walking. For the first time that morning, the job feels older than the contract. Old stories are dangerous. They already know where they end. 9:35. Bumpy enters the laundry through the rear door. Mrs. Vale, the manager, sits inside the office. She has worked there 11 years. "Anyone unfamiliar come by yesterday?" Bumpy asks. A man asked if the building was for sale. Description? Thin, dark hair, brown coat. Same man. What did he ask about? The rooms behind the boiler. Isaac looks at Bumpy. Mrs. Vale continues. He said he knew a family who stayed here once. What family? He didn't say. Did he describe them? A father, a mother, a little boy. The room changes, not visibly, but every man inside feels it. Behind the boiler is a narrow door painted the same gray as the wall. Beyond it are 3 old cots. Years ago, the rooms hid people who needed one safe night. Most moved on. Some remembered. Someone asking about a family is not searching for property. He is searching for a debt. 9:40. Bumpy stands inside the hidden room. Dust covers the cots. No footprints, no recent movement. That is not comforting. Clean rooms can be cleaned. Untouched rooms must be remembered. Isaac waits in the doorway. How many families stayed here? Enough. Who knew? Too many. Bumpy looks at the wall. 7 years ago, several families passed through these rooms, while men searched the streets outside. Money had been paid. Debts had been settled. Lives had continued. Most favors disappear into memory. Some become loyalty. Others become shame. Shame is more dangerous. A grateful man remembers what you gave him. A proud man remembers that he once needed you. Bumpy closes the hidden door. Find everyone who used this place 7 years ago. Isaac exhales. That could take days. Then start with the families someone wanted dead. The safest past is the one nobody needs to hide. This past has just become crowded. 9:45. A black Lincoln appears behind Bumpy's Buick. Same brown-hatted driver. This time it does not hide. It follows openly. Open surveillance is not surveillance. It is pressure. Ahead, a delivery truck stops across half the road. Leon slows. The Lincoln stops 10 feet behind them. Its rear door opens. The thin man in the brown coat steps out. He walks toward the Buick with empty hands. Empty hands can be more threatening than a gun. Leon reaches beneath his jacket. Hands on the wheel, Bumpy says. The man stops beside the rear window. Mr. Johnson, you should take the message seriously. Bumpy studies his eyes. Which message? The man hesitates. Half a second. Enough. That's the trouble with borrowed threats, Bumpy says. You never know which one belongs to you. The man straightens. The next opportunity won't be interrupted. Opportunity a shooter's word, not a messenger's. Shio 950. The brown coat man realizes his mistake. He steps back. Leon reaches for the door handle. Bumpy stops him with a glance. "What is your name?" Bumpy asks. Names aren't important. They are when a man wants to be remembered. The truck ahead begins moving. The Lincoln driver honks once. The brown coat man returns to the car. It reverses into a side street and disappears. Leon accelerates. "We can follow. That's why they left slowly." Bumpy closes the window. The man was not sent to kill him. He was sent to make fear visible. He failed, but he confirmed the rifle. Bumpy looks at the message again. The street is quiet before it closes. One purpose wants him dead. Another wants him moving. A dead man cannot be guided. A frightened man can. The messenger, the tail, the roadblock, all designed to create motion. Someone is testing how Bumpy protects himself. 9:55. Mercer enters a rented hotel room. Felix Ward waits inside with an open bottle of whiskey. The glass in his hand is too full. Nerves pour generously. "You checked the laundry," Felix says. Mercer stops. "How do you know?" Felix realizes the mistake. Small, immediate, fatal in another room. "It was in the file." "No, it was removed from the file." Felix puts down the glass. "The client asked for the photograph last night." "Why?" "Said the location didn't matter." "Then why take it?" Felix has no answer. Mercer closes the door. "Who is the family connected to that building?" "I don't know." "You know enough to be afraid of the question." Felix looks toward the telephone. "The client will explain at noon." Mercer takes the meeting address from the desk. A private dining room in Midtown. Neutral ground. Neutral is a word men use when both sides brought guns. 10 o'clock, Bumpy reaches his apartment building. The doorman opens the entrance. Bumpy stops before stepping inside. A woman pushes a baby carriage. A taxi idles at the curb. A window washer works across the street. 3 ordinary scenes. Ordinary is where danger earns its salary. Bumpy looks up. Pigeons rise suddenly from a rooftop. Something disturbed them. He continues walking. Leon follows without asking. Across the street, Bumpy studies a shop window reflection. A shadow moves behind a chimney. Human height. Then disappears. A second position. Maybe not a shooter. Maybe only eyes. A rifle kills. Binoculars feed one. Bumpy enters a pharmacy and leaves through its delivery door. By the time the rooftop observer goes downstairs to report, Isaac is waiting near the access door. No weapon visible. No smile. "Binoculars," Isaac says. The observer slowly hands them over. 10:05. The rooftop observer gives his name as Owen Pike. 22. No criminal reputation. $200 bought his attention. He says a man named Martin Crew hired him. The clean name from the license plate. "What were you watching?" Bumpy asks. "Your apartment." "Only that?" Pike looks down. "The laundry, too." "Why?" "I don't know." "What were you told to report?" "Anyone entering, especially families." The word rests heavily. Families, not gunmen, not police, not deliveries. Pike gives Bumpy a telephone number used for reports. Bumpy makes him call. "He went home," Pike lies. The voice on the line asks whether the Buick stayed, then whether the apartment windows were open. Windows matter to rifles. Bumpy takes the receiver and hears only the click of a disconnected line. "They prepared another position," Isaac says. Bumpy nods. "And they want us to discover it." 10:10. Across from Bumpy's apartment, Isaac's men find a closed insurance office. 3rd floor. Curtains pinned. A hole cut in the blackout shade. Tripod marks on the floor. No shooter. Only preparation. On the windowsill rests an empty ammunition box, a message without words. Bumpy stands behind the firing position and looks toward his own bedroom window. Perfect line. The room is too obvious. That is the point. They want you out of the apartment, Isaac says. They want me choosing another place. The laundry? Maybe. Bumpy finds a city map beneath the table. One route is marked in pencil. From the apartment to the old laundry. The trap is built from old information. Someone believes Bumpy still uses the laundry as a safe house. Someone who remembers Harlem as it was 7 years ago. Old enemies make one mistake more often than new ones. They prepare to kill the man you used to be. 10:15. Bumpy returns to the pharmacy office. Isaac lays a list on the desk. Families hidden at the laundry 7 years earlier. Names, debts, destinations. Some crossed out, dead, some impossible to locate. Bumpy reads the pages. One family stands apart. A father who owed a large sum to Italian collectors. A mother who had been followed for days. A young son. The debt had disappeared overnight. The family had left Harlem before sunrise. The father's name was Thomas Mercer. The boy's name was Daniel. Bumpy looks at the paper. No expression. No conclusion. A name is not proof. Memory is not loyalty. A child saved from violence can grow in many directions. Isaac asks, "Does the name mean something?" Bumpy folds the page and places it inside his coat. It means someone chose the shooter carefully. Outside, traffic thickens. The city becomes louder. Inside, silence takes control. 10:20 Mercer arrives at the Midtown restaurant before noon. He enters through the kitchen instead of the front. The private dining room has 3 exits, 1 visible, 2 hidden behind curtains. The client has not arrived. Felix waits beside the table. The brown coat man stands near the window. Mercer places no weapon on display. A pistol is most useful before everyone knows where it is. The brown coat man says, "The target discovered the apartment position." Mercer looks at him. "You planned for that." The man does not answer. Felix looks toward the door. Then the client enters. Older, dark overcoat, silver beginning at the temples. His face is calm, too calm. Men who purchase death often confuse payment with control. The client places a folder on the table. Inside is the photograph of the laundry. Mercer looks at it. "Why did you remove this?" The client closes the folder. "Because it does not concern you." 10:25. Mercer remains standing. "Anything connected to the target concerns me. You were hired for 1 shot. I was hired for the truth around the shot." The client's eyes harden. "Tonight Johnson will be moved to the laundry." "You don't know that. I know how he thinks." There it is, not observation, memory. Mercer watches the man's hand rest on the photograph. Possession, not evidence. The client says, 10 o'clock. "You will have a clear angle," Mercer asks. "Why me?" The answer comes quickly. "Because you are the best." Too quickly. Prepared answers arrive before honest ones. Mercer picks up the photograph. On the back is an old date, 7 years earlier. The same year the client began building the plan. Maybe the same year he began choosing the weapon. Mercer returns the photograph. "I choose the shot." The client leans forward. "No. Tonight, I choose everything." 10:30. Bumpy stands at the window of the pharmacy office. Somewhere in the city, the shooter knows the first position failed. Somewhere else, the man paying him believes Bumpy is being pushed toward the laundry. Both men are wrong about one thing. Bumpy is not trying to escape. Escape belongs to the hunted. He is trying to understand the cage. A cage is built from assumptions. The target will panic. The target will hide. The target will choose familiar ground. Break one assumption and the bars weaken. Break all of them, and the cage belongs to you. Leave the apartment lit tonight, Bumpy says. Isaac nods. The laundry? Dark. Guards? None visible. Leon asks, where will you be? Bumpy puts on his coat. Where the man behind this believes I would never go. He looks once more at Daniel Mercer's name, then folds the list. The morning has given him a shooter. The past has not yet explained why. 12:04. The client leaves the Midtown restaurant through the kitchen, not the front. Men who fear recognition often use the same doors as men carrying garbage. Daniel Mercer remains in the private dining room. Felix Ward watches him from beside the table. The brown coat man has already gone. Mercer looks at the closed folder. The client had left it behind deliberately. Inside are photographs of Bumpy Johnson, maps, schedules, vehicle descriptions, and the old laundry. One image is marked with a red circle. A second is marked with an Italian surname, Lombardi. Mercer studies it. The photograph shows a man entering a restaurant in Little Italy. No connection to Bumpy. No reason to be in the file. That means the reason has been manufactured. False evidence must be planted before truth becomes inconvenient. Someone is not only preparing a murder, someone is preparing the story that will survive it. 12:09. Felix pours another drink. You should leave the folder alone. Mercer turns one page. Why? Because Keller doesn't like people reading past their part. The name arrives without ceremony. Ray Keller. Mercer looks at Felix. You never used it before. Felix realizes the mistake. Nerves make men generous with information. Everybody knows who he is. I didn't. Now you do. Mercer studies another photograph. Ray standing beside two union officials. Ray shaking hands with a nightclub owner. Ray entering a warehouse outside Newark. A man building weight outside Harlem. Yet every article clipped into the folder uses the same phrase. Former Bumpy Johnson associate. Former. A small word. A permanent shadow. Mercer closes the folder. Felix says, Keller built everything himself. Then why does he need Johnson dead? Felix drinks. Because some men can own a city and still feel like tenants. 12:14. At the pharmacy office, Isaac Bell places a new file before Bumpy. Ray Keller. 7 years earlier, he handled collections, storage, and information. Not glamorous work, important work. The kind that gives a man keys to rooms he does not own. Ray had stolen money in small amounts, then larger ones. He had also sold schedules, routes, meeting locations. Trust leaks slowly before it floods. Bumpy discovered everything. He exposed Ray in front of 12 men. No beating, no gun, no blood. That surprised everyone. Bumpy told Ray to leave Harlem, take his life, take his freedom, disappear. Mercy is expensive because people misunderstand the price. Some think it means forgiveness. It rarely does. Bumpy closes the file. Isaac asks, why let him live? Because death would have ended his shame. And exile made him carry it. Outside, noon traffic moves like nothing has changed. But the past has entered the room. This time, it has a name. 12:19. Ray Keller sits inside the back seat of the black Lincoln. The brown coat man drives. His name is Victor Sloan. He asks no questions while Ray thinks. That is why Ray keeps him close. Questions are useful from enemies. From employees, they become friction. Ray looks through the window as Harlem disappears behind them. 7 years. 7 years of building warehouses, nightclubs, trucking contracts, men with guns, men with signatures. Still, at every table, Someone eventually says, "You used to work for Bumpy." Never. "You built this." Never. "You own this." Only, "You came from him." A shadow is not darkness. It is proof that another man still stands between you and the light. Ray touches the silver ring on his right hand. "Did Mercer believe the Italian file?" he asks. Victor keeps driving. "He saw it." "That wasn't my question." Victor pauses. "No." Ray looks ahead. "Good. A suspicious weapon is still a weapon. It simply needs a shorter distance." 12:24. Mercer leaves the restaurant with the folder under his coat. Felix follows him onto the sidewalk. "You can't take that." "I already did. Keller will know." "He wanted me to." Felix looks confused. "Why?" "To see which page interests me." Mercer crosses the street. A taxi passes. A delivery truck blocks the restaurant windows. He uses the moment to enter an alley. Felix follows. Mercer stops suddenly. Felix nearly walks into him. "Who chose the Italian photographs?" Felix looks away. "I don't know." "Who told the spotters to watch families entering the laundry?" "I don't know." "Who knew Bumpy would discover the apartment position?" Silence. Felix knows more than he can safely explain. Mercer steps closer. "You're not helping plan a murder." Felix swallows. "What am I helping?" "A war." The word lands harder because it is quiet. Blood makes noise. But wars begin with paper, a photograph, a name, a planted witness. Then grief does the rest. 12:29. Bumpy studies Ray's recent movements. Newark, Queens, Brooklyn docks. 2 meetings near Little Italy. Too obvious. Isaac points to the dates. "He wants us to see Italians." "Yes." "You think they're involved?" "No." Isaac looks up. "Why not?" "Because Italians send messages in ways they already own." Bumpy taps the folder. This is theater. The black Lincoln, the brown coat, the Lombardi photograph, the visible roots. Someone wants Harlem looking south, toward men who know nothing. A false enemy must be believable enough to anger you, not believable enough to survive questions. Isaac asks, "Why start a war?" Bumpy answers without hesitation, "Because war empties chairs. And Ray wants one. He wants all of them." Bumpy looks toward the map. If Bumpy dies and the evidence points to Italians, Harlem retaliates. The Mafia answers. Both sides bleed. Ray arrives afterward as the man with untouched soldiers. A parasite survives by choosing bodies already wounded. 12:34. Ray enters a private office above a trucking depot in Queens. Victor closes the blinds. On the desk lies a ledger. Names, payments, routes. One column lists men inside Harlem who will receive money after Bumpy's death. Not soldiers, clerks, drivers, bookkeepers, the quiet parts of power. Ray does not plan to conquer Harlem with guns. Guns take corners. Information takes systems. He turns to Victor. "Call Lombardi's restaurant." "From here?" "No, use the booth on 43rd. "What do I say?" "Nothing." Victor waits. Ray explains. "Call. Let it ring twice. Hang up." "A signal?" "A record. Telephone records become evidence when police need a story." Victor nods. Ray opens another envelope. Inside are photographs of Bumpy's apartment windows. "Mercer hesitated," Victor says. "Professionals always hesitate before the final shot." "That sounds dangerous." "Only if they are allowed to think." Ray closes the envelope. Tonight, give him no time. Pressure does not make strong men weak. It makes them reveal where strength ends. 12:39. Mercer enters a public library. He chooses a table near the back. No one notices a man reading in silence. That is the advantage of books. They make stillness ordinary. He opens the stolen folder beneath a newspaper. The Lombardi photograph has a date, 3 days earlier. Mercer studies the shadows. The restaurant awning points west. The clock above the door reads 4, but the typed caption says 7 in the evening. Wrong light, wrong time. Manufactured evidence often fails at the edge. People focus on faces. Truth lives in shadows. Mercer turns the photograph over. Fresh glue. A second image had once been attached beneath it. He separates the corners carefully. Under the Lombardi photograph is a picture of Ray Keller entering the same restaurant through the rear door. Not meeting Italians. Planting proximity. Ray does not want proof. He wants suspicion. Suspicion moves faster than fact. That is why it arrives first at funerals. 12:44. Bumpy sends Leon Graves to Little Italy, not to accuse, to listen. Accusations close doors. Listening makes men fill silence. Leon enters a bakery owned by an old contact named Salvatore Vetti. No weapons displayed, no bodyguards, only bread cooling on wooden racks. Salvatore reads the Lombardi name from the paper Leon carries. He shakes his head. Lombardi hasn't been in New York for 2 weeks. Where is he? Miami. Proof? Salvatore points to a postcard pinned near the register. A beach. A hotel stamp. Leon turns it over. Dated 4 days earlier. Simple things are difficult to fake after they have traveled. Salvatore asks, "Who says Lombardi is involved?" Leon folds the paper. "Someone who wants us asking." Salvatore's expression changes. "What happened?" "Nothing yet." Yet is the most expensive word in criminal business. It means everyone still has time to make the wrong decision. Leon leaves through the front. 2 men follow him from across the street. Not Italians. Ray's observers. 12:49. At the library, Mercer finds a second inconsistency. A floor plan of Bumpy's apartment includes a bedroom window that was sealed 2 years earlier. The client's intelligence is old, accurate once, dangerous now. Mercer remembers Bumpy leaving through the diner kitchen, ignoring the apartment, emptying the laundry. The target is not reacting randomly. He is moving against the age of the plan. Ray studied Bumpy 7 years ago, then froze him there. Mercer closes the folder. Old enemies prepare for old men. That is why they miss the one standing in front of them. A boy sits at the next table reading a picture book. His mother whispers for him to be quiet. The sound touches something inside Mercer. A room, steam, a frightened woman, a man's voice. Then nothing. Memory rises like smoke, visible for 1 second, impossible to hold. Mercer leaves the library with the folder. He now knows Ray is lying. He does not yet know why the lie feels familiar. 12:54, Isaac returns with another report. Thomas Mercer died 3 years earlier in Pennsylvania. Heart attack. His wife moved west. Daniel disappeared from ordinary records at 19. Military training under another surname. Contract work overseas. Then nothing official. A blank record is not an empty life. It is a protected one. Bumpy reads the father's employment history. Warehouse supervisor. Steady work. No further debt. No arrests. The life Bumpy bought him had continued, at least for a while. Isaac asks, "You think Daniel remembers you?" "Not clearly." "Then why hire him?" "Ray may know the family story." "How?" "Ray managed safe locations." The answer changes the room. Ray had known who entered the laundry, who owed money, who survived. He did not choose Mercer only because he was the best. He chose a weapon whose past pointed at Bumpy. Irony is cruelty dressed as intelligence. Ray wanted the saved child to become the hand that killed the savior. Cheer 12:59, Ray receives Victor's call. The Lombardi number was used. Good. Leon Graves visited Vetti's bakery. Ray smiles. Bumpy is checking the Italian trail. Expected, predictable, necessary. Victor adds, he left without conflict. The smile fades. No accusation? None. Ray looks toward the ledger. Bumpy is supposed to become angry. Anger shortens thought. But Bumpy is widening the investigation instead. Ray turns to the window. Below, trucks enter the depot one by one. Order, schedules, movement. Everything Ray built depends on systems. Bumpy taught him that. That is the part Ray hates most. Even his rebellion carries Bumpy's fingerprints. Move the second phase forward, Ray says. Victor hesitates. Before tonight? Yes. What about Mercer? He'll receive a new photograph. Of what? Ray looks at a sealed envelope. Proof that Bumpy killed his father. A lie does not need to survive forever, only until the trigger moves. 13:04. Mercer returns to the Hartwell Hotel. Felix is gone. The whiskey remains. The telephone receiver is slightly warm. Someone called recently. Mercer closes the door and searches the room. Under the mattress, he finds an envelope. His name is written across it. Inside is a photograph of Thomas Mercer lying on a warehouse floor. Blood near his head. Bumpy Johnson stands in the background. The image is grainy, distant, convincing at first glance. A typed note says, "Your father never escaped him." Mercer sits. For the first time all day, stillness does not belong to discipline. It belongs to impact. He studies the photograph. His father, older than Mercer remembers. Bumpy near the doorway. The warehouse walls look familiar. Too familiar. Mercer touches the paper. Memory does not answer. Anger does. Anger is fast. That is why people use it when truth would take too long. 13:09. Mercer examines the photograph beneath the lamp. The blood is dark. The floor shines. Bumpy's shadow falls left. His father's shadow falls right. Two light sources. Possible. But the grain around Bumpy's shoulder is heavier. The edge of his coat is too sharp. The image has been assembled. Not perfectly. Well enough for grief. Mercer turns it over. No date, no developer's mark. Nothing that can be checked. The note uses the same typewriter as the diner threat. Same damaged letter R. Ray's people are becoming careless, or urgent. Urgency is carelessness with a reason. Mercer places the photograph beside the Lombardi image. Two lies, one aimed at Harlem, one aimed at him. The first creates war. The second creates obedience. He puts both inside his coat. A client who lies about motive becomes part of the target. Not yet an enemy, but close. 13:14. Leon returns from Little Italy. Lombardi is in Miami. Bumpy nods. Ray knows. He should. Then the trail is false. Isaac looks toward the window. If Ray wants war, we should warn them. Not yet. Leon frowns. Why? Because warnings travel. Bumpy places the postcard beside Ray's file. If the Italians hear someone is framing them, they will move. Movement creates noise. Ray will know the deception failed. Better to let him believe the stage remains dark. Bumpy says, "Send Salvatore one sentence." What sentence? Tell him Harlem has no quarrel today. Leon waits. That's all? Today is enough. Diplomacy works when both sides understand tomorrow is not promised. Isaac asks, "What about Daniel?" Bumpy looks at the clock. He received something this afternoon. How do you know? Ray has lost control of the timing. Men who lose timing reach for emotion. Emotion is the cheapest accelerant. 13:19. Victor Sloan enters the hotel through the service stairs. Mercer hears the key before it turns. He stands behind the door. Victor steps inside. Mercer closes the door behind him. Victor reaches for his coat. Mercer presses the pistol against his ribs. Hands! Victor raises them. Ray sent me. I know. To confirm tonight. No. Victor looks toward the table. The father photograph is gone. The picture convinced you? Mercer's eyes do not change. That question convinced me. Victor understands too late. He says, "Your father worked for Bumpy." Did he? He died because of him. Where? Victor hesitates. The photograph has no location. The lie has no room. Mercer pushes the pistol harder. Where? A warehouse. Which one? Victor says nothing. Mercer steps back. Tell Ray I'll be at the laundry at 10. Victor exhales. Then we're done. No. Mercer opens the door. You're done when I decide what the job is. 1324. After Victor leaves, Mercer follows from another staircase. Victor walks 6 blocks to a payphone. Mercer watches from a parked cab. Victor calls Ray. Then he makes a second call. Different number. A man answers inside a social club near the river. Mercer sees him through the front window. Italian. Or dressed to look Italian. The man takes notes. Then Victor enters the club. Mercer waits. 10 minutes later, Victor leaves carrying a small revolver wrapped in cloth. The weapon is not for Bumpy. A professional hit requires a rifle. A planted gun requires a story. Mercer pays the cab and walks toward the club. Inside, the bartender wipes a clean glass. Mercer asks for whiskey. Victor Sloan. The bartender's hand stops. Never heard of him. Mercer looks at the telephone. The call record remains written on a pad. One name, Lombardi. Mercer smiles without warmth. Ray is planting the trail in real time. Not evidence, echoes. Enough echoes become a voice. 1329. Bumpy visits a church basement on 138th Street. Not for prayer, for archives. The church once distributed food to families leaving Harlem. A volunteer named Mrs. Carter remembers Thomas Mercer. Quiet man, she says, ashamed of needing help. What about the boy? Daniel barely spoke. Did they know who paid the debt? The father did. And the mother? She knew enough. Mrs. Carter searches through old boxes. She finds a letter. Thomas Mercer wrote it 6 months after leaving. No address, no request, only thanks. Bumpy reads one line twice. My son still asks about the man who stood in the laundry doorway. Memory, not gone, only buried. Bumpy folds the letter carefully. Mrs. Carter asks, "Is the boy in trouble?" Bumpy looks toward the basement stairs. He has been hired by it. Outside, church bells strike 1:30. Time does not heal every wound. Sometimes it only teaches the wound patience. 1334. Mercer returns to the warehouse beneath the elevated tracks. He locks the door, places the rifle on the table, then lays out every piece of the job. The diner message, the Lombardi photograph, the image of his father, the laundry address, the apartment floor plan, Ray's schedule. A pattern appears. Ray did not simply hire Mercer. He built a corridor around him. Every wall points toward the same trigger. Bumpy is guilty. The Italians are responsible. The laundry is the scene. Tonight is the only chance. Too clean. Truth is rarely clean. It drags mud from every room it passes through. Mercer opens a drawer and removes a small photograph he has carried for years. His parents, a boy between them. The image is faded. Behind them stands a brick building. Only part of the sign is visible. Andre Mercer freezes. The old picture was taken outside the same building. Memory is no longer smoke. It has found a wall. 1339. Mercer sits beneath the hanging bulb. He studies the childhood photograph. His father's hand rests on his shoulder. His mother looks tired. Behind them, through the laundry window, stands a short, broad man in a dark coat. The face is blurred, but the posture is familiar. Bumpy Johnson. Mercer closes his eyes. A voice returns. Not all the words, only fragments. Before daylight. New name. No more borrowing. His father crying. His mother holding him too tightly. Then a car. A long road. Mercer opens his eyes. The photograph Ray sent was designed to replace this memory. A lie over an old truth. Mercer takes the pistol from the table. For 1 second, he considers going directly to Ray. Then he stops. Anger would make him predictable. Predictability is what Ray bought. Mercer puts the pistol away. The job is still alive, but it no longer belongs to the man who paid for it. 1344. At the pharmacy office, Bumpy reads Thomas Mercer's letter to Isaac. Isaac listens without interrupting. When Bumpy finishes, he asks, "You're going to show Daniel?" "Not yet." "Why?" "Because truth delivered too early looks like defense." Isaac understands. A man accused of saving someone sounds ridiculous if the accusation is murder. Bumpy must let Mercer reach the contradiction himself. "Tonight at the laundry?" Isaac asks. "Yes." "You think he'll come?" "He has to." "Why?" "Because Ray made the place the center of every lie." Bumpy places the letter inside an envelope. Alongside it, he adds the original debt receipt. Italian names, amount paid, date, signatures. Paper is colder than steel. It does not care who believes. It waits. Bumpy seals the envelope. "Put this where Daniel will find it." Isaac takes it. "And if he shoots before reading?" Bumpy looks at him. "Then Ray chose correctly." 1349. Ray receives Victor in the Queen's office. "The photograph worked," Victor says. "How do you know?" "He agreed to 10. Ray watches him carefully. "His face?" "Changed. That is enough." Ray turns to the window. Below, another truck enters the depot. Everything is moving again. He feels control returning. Victor places the wrapped revolver on the desk. "Italian markings, unregistered." "Good. Where does it go?" "Near Bumpy's body." "And Mercer?" "He disappears after the shot." Victor looks up. "You didn't say that before." "I didn't need to. A professional killer is useful while alive, dangerous after payment." Victor asks, "Who handles him?" Ray taps the revolver. "You." Silence. Victor is loyal, but loyalty becomes mathematics when a man sees his own risk. Ray notices. "Problem?" "No. Soft is just wrapping for a blade." Ray smiles. "Good. Men say yes long before betrayal. The body usually knows first." 1354. Mercer calls Felix. "Meet me at the river terminal." "Why?" "To change the extraction route." Felix arrives 20 minutes later. He looks exhausted. Fear has been using him all day. Mercer stands beside the water. No one close. No walls to hide sound. "Ray plans to kill me after Johnson," Mercer says. Felix says nothing. Silence confirms what words would deny. "Who does it?" "Victor." "When?" "After the laundry." "Where?" Felix looks toward the river. "Rear alley. Car waiting." Mercer nods. "You knew." "I knew this morning." "And said nothing." Felix's face tightens. "I wanted to live." Mercer looks at the water. Everyone wants to live. That is not a defense. It is a motive. "Tonight you drive the green sedan," Mercer says. Felix turns. "For you?" "For whoever walks out." Felix swallows. "What are you planning?" Mercer answers softly. "To let the job reveal its real target." 1359. Bumpy sends men to watch Ray's depot. Not approach, not threaten. only count. Vehicles entering, vehicles leaving, crates moved, calls placed. One truck carries furniture toward Harlem. Inside are two men and a folded canvas sheet. Another car carries Victor Sloan. A third carries no one visible. Empty cars matter. They are prepared for bodies. Isaac reports everything. Bumpy marks the routes. Ray is moving pieces toward the laundry. Too many. He expects chaos after the shot. Bumpy says, "Let the first truck pass." And the second? Redirect it. How? Police inspection. Isaac smiles. Bureaucracy is violence wearing clean cuffs. A missing permit can stop what guns would advertise. Paper is colder than steel. The second vehicle will never reach Harlem. Ray will lose half his men without hearing a shot. Control is not always taking the board. Sometimes it is removing squares before the other player notices. 14:04, Victor arrives at the social club again. This time, Mercer is already inside the back room. The bartender lies unconscious behind the bar. Alive, breathing. Mercer closes the door. Victor reaches for the revolver. Mercer points the pistol first. Table. Victor places the wrapped gun down. Mercer unwraps it. Italian manufacturer. Filed serial number. A small card from Lombardi's restaurant tucked beneath the grip. Too perfect. Victor says, "You don't understand. I understand the ending. You kill Bumpy. Italians get blamed. Harlem answers. Ray takes what remains." Victor's face changes. He has said too much because Mercer said enough first. Mercer steps closer. "And then you kill me." Victor looks toward the door. "No. Bad lie." Mercer takes the revolver. "Tell Ray the weapon is planted." Victor whispers, "He'll know. Not until he needs it." Mercer leaves Victor tied behind the bar. No blood. Blood makes noise. Tonight requires silence. 14:09. Ray calls the hotel. No answer. Calls the warehouse. No answer. Calls Victor. No answer. For the first time, the day stops obeying. Ray stands behind the desk. The room feels smaller. He tells himself Mercer is preparing. Victor is working. Felix is driving. All pieces remain in place. But reassurance is just fear repeating instructions. Ray opens the ledger. Names of men waiting for Bumpy's death. Payments promised. Properties marked. One page lists the order of takeover. Clubs first. Numbers operations second. Unions third. Funeral before sunrise. War by noon. Ray has planned Harlem as if it were an empty building. But cities are not buildings. They remember who paid the rent. The browncoat man enters. Bumpy's men are quiet. Ray looks up. How quiet? No movement, no retaliation. Silence is not always weakness. Sometimes silence is a man closing his hand around your throat. 14:14. Bumpy visits the diner again. Same rear booth, same waitress, different coffee. The room has been searched. The tailor shop watched. No threat visible. Bumpy sits where the rifle first found him. Power is sometimes returning to the place fear tried to remove you from. The waitress pours coffee. "You missed lunch." "I was busy." "With what?" "Old accounts." She smiles and leaves. Bumpy looks through the window. Across the street, a new man stands near the mailbox. Ray replaced the first observer. Bumpy raises his cup slightly. A greeting. The observer looks away. Seen men become nervous. Nervous men report faster. Bumpy wants Ray to know the diner is still safe. The apartment still lit. The laundry still dark. Every false assumption must remain alive until night. A trap collapses when the trapped man refuses to enter. A better trap continues until the hunter steps inside to check why. 14:19. Mercer enters the old laundry through the rear. No guards, no voices. The hidden room is empty. On the center cot lies an envelope. His name written by hand, Daniel Mercer. He opens it. Inside is the original debt receipt, Italian collectors. Amount, paid in full, Bumpy Johnson's signature. A second document shows Thomas Mercer hired by a freight company 2 days later. A third is the letter his father wrote. Mercer reads slowly. His father's words do not sound like a frightened man. They sound ashamed, grateful, alive. At the bottom, my son still asks about the man who stood in the laundry doorway. Mercer lowers the page. The room becomes smaller. The past no longer waits behind fog. It stands in front of him. Bumpy did not kill his father. Bumpy gave him years Ray's photograph tried to erase. Truth arrives quietly. That is why lies need drums. 1424. Mercer hears footsteps outside the hidden room. He draws the pistol. Bumpy enters alone. No coat, no visible weapon. He stops in the doorway. For several seconds, neither man speaks. The room holds 7 years between them. Mercer raises the pistol. Not fully. Enough. Bumpy looks at the papers in his hand. You found them, Mercer says. Why leave these? Because Ray left you something else. Mercer's face stays still. The photograph. Yes. You knew? I know the type of lie he needed. Mercer grips the pistol tighter. Did you save my family? Bumpy does not answer immediately. Truth becomes weaker when rushed. I bought your father's debt. Why? He had already made his mistake. Bumpy looks toward the doorway. You hadn't. Mercer lowers the pistol 1 inch. Not trust, not forgiveness. Only space for another question. 1429. Mercer asks, why didn't you tell me before? You were holding a rifle. That didn't stop you. No. Bumpy steps into the room. It stopped me from asking you to believe me. Mercer studies him. What do you want? Tonight? Yes. I want Ray to believe his plan still works. Mercer's eyes narrow. You knew he hired me. I knew he chose you. Why? Because he remembers the laundry. Bumpy explains only enough. Ray once managed safe locations. He knew which families passed through. He knew Daniel's father owed Italians. He knew the boy had become a professional killer. He chose the story because cruelty felt intelligent. Mercer says he wants Italians blamed. Yes. And Harlem at war. Yes. Mercer looks at the papers again. What happens to Ray? Bumpy's voice remains flat. Not tonight. The answer surprises him. Bumpy continues. Tonight he learns whether his weapon belongs to him. 1434. Mercer asks, you expect me to turn? I expect you to decide. Based on a receipt? Based on everything Ray tried to hide? Bumpy turns toward the cots. Your father lived 3 more years. Mercer's jaw tightens. You know that? I checked. My mother? Alive. West. Mercer looks away. Emotion reaches his face for the first time. Not much. Enough. Bumpy does not use it. A weaker man would press. Pressure creates resistance. Silence allows truth to settle under its own weight. Mercer says, Ray plans to kill me after the shot. I know. How? He moved an empty car. Mercer almost smiles. Almost. Victor carries the planted gun. Not anymore. Bumpy looks at him. That answer matters. The 2 men are no longer sharing information. They are measuring competence. Respect begins where fear stops being useful. Outside, a washing machine pipe drips once. Then again, time becomes water. Slow. Exact. 1439. Bumpy outlines the night. The laundry will appear empty. The apartment lights remain on. Ray's observers will report movement. Mercer will take the prepared position. The shot will be heard. A body will fall. Ray will receive confirmation, but no real body is named. No final plan explained. Mercer notices. "You don't trust me," Bumpy answers. "Not yet." "Then why stand here alone?" "Because trust and risk are different accounts." Mercer looks at the old cot. "You think Ray comes personally? He has waited 7 years to see me lose. Men like him send others. Men like him send others to create the moment." Bumpy steps closer. They come themselves to own it. Mercer understands. Ray does not only want death. He wants witness, proof that the shadow is gone. That need will bring him closer than strategy allows. Vanity is the door intelligence forgets to lock. Mercer puts the pistol away. 10 o'clock. Bumpy nods. 10. 14:44. Ray receives a call from the observer near the diner. Johnson returned. Ray stands. "To the diner?" "Yes." "Alone?" "Driver outside." Ray smiles. Bumpy is pretending normality. Good. Men often become calm when they decide they cannot escape. Ray misreads control as surrender. That is the privilege of hatred. It translates everything into the answer it needs. A second call arrives. The apartment lights are on. A third, movement near the laundry. One man entered through the rear. Ray asks, "Mercer?" "Couldn't see." The line disconnects. Ray looks at the clock. The pieces are returning. Victor is still missing. Felix has not reported, but the center holds. Ray tells the browncoat man, "Prepare the warehouse." "Which one?" "The river location." "For after." Ray touches the silver ring. "For confirmation." He has imagined Bumpy's body for 7 years. Imagination is not enough anymore. Tonight, he wants evidence close enough to touch. 14:49. Mercer leaves the laundry through the front. Bumpy waits 10 minutes before using the rear passage. They do not leave together. Partnership is visible before trust is real. Isaac meets Bumpy in the alley. Well, he knows enough. Enough to lower the rifle? Bumpy looks toward the street. That is his decision. Isaac dislikes the answer. He could still kill you. Yes. You're letting him take the position? Yes. Why? Because Ray must believe the shot belongs to him. Isaac says nothing. Loyal men understand risk. They do not always accept it. Bumpy hands him the letter and receipt. Make copies. Where do the originals go? With me. Paper is colder than steel, but only while it survives. Isaac takes the documents. Bumpy looks toward the laundry sign. The building saved a family once. Tonight, it may save Harlem from a war. Places do not choose their purpose. Men return and assign them new ones. 14:54, Felix drives the green sedan into Harlem. Mercer sits beside him. The rifle case lies in the trunk. Felix asks, "Did you meet Johnson?" Mercer looks through the windshield. Yes. Felix grips the wheel. And? The job continues. Felix waits. That's all? That's enough. They pass the diner. Bumpy's Buick is parked outside. Felix glances toward it. You could take him now. No. Why? Because that is what Ray wants me to think. Felix looks confused. Mercer does not explain. A plan is strongest when only the necessary people know its shape. Felix asks, "Where do I wait tonight?" "Rear alley." "For extraction?" "For observation." "Of what?" Mercer turns toward him. "Whoever comes to confirm the body." Felix's face changes. He understands Ray may be that man. Fear enters, not of Bumpy, of being caught between men who both understand more than he does. Middlemen die from geometry. They stand where every line eventually meets. 14:59 Bumpy returns to his office. Leon has new information. Ray rented a riverside warehouse under another company name. Furniture delivered. Canvas sheets. One refrigeration truck. Isaac places photographs on the desk. The warehouse has one main entrance, two side doors, a loading dock facing the water. Bumpy studies the structure. Ray does not plan to celebrate at the laundry. He plans to move the body. That means the laundry is only the performance. The warehouse is the ending, Ray wrote for himself. Bumpy says, "Let him keep it." Leon asks, "We use his warehouse?" "Yes. That's dangerous. Only if he still owns the exits." Isaac marks the side doors. "We can take both." "No." Bumpy points to the river entrance. "Leave one open." "Why?" "Men reveal themselves by the escape they choose." A sealed room creates panic. An open door creates decisions. Bumpy closes the map. Tonight, Ray will believe he is arriving to inspect a corpse. Instead, he will walk into the last room of his own plan. 15:04. Ray sits alone after his men leave. The office is quiet. On the wall hangs a framed photograph of the trucking depot opening. Ray stands in front. 20 employees, city officials, a ribbon, success. Yet even that day, a reporter asked whether Bumpy Johnson had helped finance him. He had not. It did not matter. Reputation is a story other people repeat because it saves them the work of seeing you clearly. Ray removes the photograph from the wall. Behind it is an older one, himself beside Bumpy, 7 years younger, standing half a step behind. Always half a step. Ray tears the photograph once, then again. Paper resists less than memory. The brown coat man enters. Everything is ready. Ray puts the pieces inside a drawer. Tonight, nobody says his name after the shot. "Bumpy?" Ray looks up. No. He means no one will say Bumpy's name because Ray wants the city to begin saying his. Power is not silence. It is deciding which name fills it. 15:09. Mercer prepares the rifle in a rented room above the laundry. Same method. Folded blankets, clean barrel, measured distance. But the target is no longer a man. It is the plan itself. Through the scope, he sees the laundry entrance. Bumpy's men move objects inside. One carries a long coat. Another carries a mannequin torso. Mercer understands part of the deception. Not all. Good. Complete knowledge creates overconfidence. Across the street, Ray's observer watches from a parked car. Mercer notes the license. Felix waits 2 blocks away. Victor is still missing. The planted Italian revolver rests inside Mercer's bag. One lie removed from circulation. More remain. Mercer checks the watch. 15:09. Hours until 10. Waiting is not empty time. It is pressure given nowhere to go. A shooter learns the truth of himself while waiting. Mercer looks toward the hidden room below. He remembers his father's letter, then returns his eye to the scope. 15:14. Bumpy visits Salvatore Vetti one final time. The bakery is closing. Flour hangs in the air like pale smoke. Bumpy places the false Lombardi photograph on the counter. Salvatore studies it. "Not ours." "I know." "Who?" "Ray Keller." Salvatore's face hardens. "He wants war." "Yes." "What do you need?" "Nothing." Salvatore looks surprised. "Then why tell me?" "So when the shot is reported, you do not answer it." Silence. A truce made before a crime exists is fragile, but timing gives it strength. Salvatore asks, "And if Johnson dies?" Bumpy looks at him. Salvatore realizes what he said. Bumpy answers calmly, "Then you will know Ray wanted your name near my body." Salvatore nods. No handshake, no promise. Promises are loud. Understanding is quieter. Bumpy leaves through the bakery door. Outside, evening begins forming inside the afternoon. Shadows lengthen. time narrows. 15:19. Ray receives confirmation from Victor at last. The call is brief. Gun planted. Where? Laundry rear room. A lie. Victor is tied in the social club basement, but Mercer has forced him to make the call. Ray does not hear the fear correctly. He hears obedience. People interpret voices through expectation. That is why deception works best on confident men. Ray says, "Leave the city after 10. Victor looks at Mercer while holding the receiver. Understood. The line ends. Mercer takes the phone. Victor whispers, "He'll kill me." He already planned to. What do I do? Stay alive until midnight. Mercer cuts one rope around Victor's wrists. Not enough to escape quickly. Enough to make survival possible. Mercy confuses men who expect violence. Mercer understands that now. He has received it twice in his life. Once as a boy, once today, both times from the same man. 15:24. Bumpy gathers Isaac and Leon. No large crew. Large crews create rumors before action. 6 men total. Enough. The plan is divided. Isaac controls the warehouse exterior. Leon manages the false body. 2 men secure Ray's drivers. 2 remain invisible unless needed. Bumpy keeps the final step to himself. Isaac asks, "What does Mercer do?" Takes the shot. "At you?" "At what Ray believes is me," Leon says. "And if Mercer changes his mind?" Bumpy looks toward the clock. Then the story ends differently. No one likes that answer, but authority is not making men comfortable. It is making risk clear enough to obey. Bumpy places Thomas Mercer's letter inside his inner pocket, not as protection, as proof. He also carries Ray's old theft ledger. 7 years earlier, Bumpy used it to exile him. Tonight, the same paper returns. Some accounts stay open because the debtor mistakes time for forgiveness. Time does not forgive. It aligns. 15:29. The sun lowers over Harlem. Storefront glass turns gold, then gray. People finish work. Children return home. Restaurants prepare dinner. The city does not know a war has nearly been scheduled for morning. That is the nature of large violence. It begins while ordinary people carry groceries. Mercer looks through the scope. Ray's observer remains in place. Bumpy's Buick appears at the far end of the street. It passes the laundry once, does not stop. The observer lifts binoculars, makes a call. The Buick returns 10 minutes later. This time, Bumpy enters through the front. Visible, deliberate. The observer calls again. Mercer watches Bumpy disappear inside. The target is now in the building. The report travels. Ray receives it. Men begin moving. A clock starts somewhere no one can see. The trap is alive. Not because everyone believes the same thing, because each man believes a different lie. 15:34. Inside the laundry, Bumpy changes coats with a man of similar build. The lights are low, curtains half drawn. From the street, silhouettes are enough. The double walks between machines. Stops near the window. Bumpy remains behind the boiler wall. Leon checks the hidden passage. Clear. Isaac reports by telephone. Ray's first vehicle has entered Harlem. Second vehicle 2 blocks behind. Refrigeration truck approaching from the river. Everything arrives on schedule. Schedule is confidence written in motion. Bumpy listens. No rush. No raised voices. Silence here is not the absence of sound. It is a command. Leon asks, "Ready?" Bumpy looks at the clock. Not yet. Mercer has the angle. He has had the angle for 5 minutes. Then what are we waiting for? For Ray to believe he has no reason left to doubt. A lie becomes strongest immediately before it collapses. That is when men step closest. 15:39. Ray rides in the black Lincoln. Victor's empty seat is noticeable. The brown coat man drives. Mercer confirmed? Yes. Bumpy inside? Yes. Apartment? Still lit. Ray smiles. The decoy remains. Good. He believes Bumpy moved secretly to the laundry while leaving the apartment as camouflage. Exactly what old Bumpy would have done. Ray does not know the man he studied has spent 7 years changing. The Lincoln turns toward Harlem. A second car follows. The refrigeration truck stays farther back. Ray touches the silver ring again. What happens after the shot? Victor had once asked. Ray had answered with a schedule. Body moved by 10:15. Italian gun discovered by midnight. Rumor before dawn. Retaliation by noon. Harlem open by evening. A city reduced to appointments. Ray thinks time belongs to the man who plans it. He has forgotten alignment. A clock can be perfect and still hang in the wrong room. 15:44. Mercer sees the Lincoln arrive. Ray remains inside. The brown coat man exits and enters the laundry. Inside, he verifies the silhouette. The double stands near the rear machines. Brown coat returns to the street. One nod. Ray steps from the car. He does not enter. Not yet. He wants the shot first. Mercer places his finger on the trigger. The crosshairs settle on the silhouette's chest. The body shape is close to Bumpy's. Close is enough for observers, not for Mercer. He waits. Ray checks his watch. Brown coat looks toward the second-floor window where Mercer hides. Pressure. The double moves into clearer view. Mercer exhales. Half breath. Holds. The rifle fires. Glass cracks. The silhouette falls. Inside the laundry, Leon pulls the body down behind the machines. A red cloth packet bursts beneath the coat. From the street, it looks final. The sound runs down the avenue. One shot. No second. Professionals build reputation with restraint. 15:49. Ray watches the laundry window. No movement. No return fire. No Bumpy. The brown coat man smiles. Done. Ray remains still. 7 years of shame should feel lighter. It does not. He waits for relief. None arrives. Victory is strange when built entirely around another man. Even in death, Bumpy controls the meaning. Ray says, "Bring the body to the warehouse." The refrigeration truck moves forward. Men enter the laundry through the rear. Inside, Isaac's crew allows them to see what they expect. A body beneath canvas. Blood on the floor. No faces. No resistance. The men lift the stretcher. Bumpy watches from behind the hidden wall. He hears them speak. Ray wants to see him. There it is. Vanity has opened the door. The stretcher leaves. The truck closes. Bumpy exits through the passage into the next building. No one sees him. The dead man begins traveling toward his own witness. 15:54. Mercer dismantles the rifle. Felix waits in the alley with the green sedan. "You shot him?" "I fired." "That isn't what I asked." Mercer places the case in the trunk. "It is what happened." Felix looks toward the laundry. The refrigeration truck departs. Ray's Lincoln follows. Where now? The warehouse. Felix grips the steering wheel. Ray will kill us. Not before he sees the body. And after. Mercer looks at him. After depends on who stands up. Felix does not understand. That is safer. They follow at distance. Mercer keeps the Italian revolver inside his coat. One false story ready to be returned to its author. Behind them, police sirens begin somewhere far away. Not coming here. Not yet. Cities hear gunshots all the time. They arrive late because violence is common. Understanding arrives later because motive is expensive. 15:59. Bumpy enters Isaac's car through the rear passage. Leon sits beside him. The false body is already moving toward Ray's warehouse. Isaac drives. No headlights yet. They take parallel streets. Bumpy watches the skyline darken. Leon asks, "He believed it?" "Yes." "How do you know?" "He moved the body." A cautious man would inspect the laundry. A vain man brings victory to a private room. Ray chose the room. That means he is no longer thinking about danger, only ownership. Isaac says, "Mercer is following." "Good. You trust him now?" "No." Leon looks back. "Still?" Bumpy's answer is calm. Trust is not required for men to want the same door opened. The car turns toward the river. Warehouses rise ahead, large, windowless, built to hold things people do not want seen. Ray has prepared one for Bumpy's death. Instead, it will hold the truth for a few minutes. Sometimes that is enough. 1604. The refrigeration truck reaches the Riverside warehouse. Ray waits inside. Canvas hangs from steel beams. A single lamp burns above the center floor. Everything arranged. The stretcher is placed beneath the light. The body remains covered. Ray dismisses most of the men. Only Victor's replacement, the brown coat man, and 2 guards stay. He wants privacy, not because death is private, because triumph is. Ray approaches the covered form. He stops 1 step away. "Face." The brown coat man reaches for the canvas. Ray raises a hand. Not yet. He wants the moment to last. 7 years ago, he stood before Bumpy, while 12 men watched his shame. Tonight, no crowd. No witnesses except loyal men. But memory supplies the audience. Ray looks at the body. "You should have killed me." His voice is soft. That is the truth beneath everything. Mercy gave Ray time. Time gave resentment structure. Now he stands before the consequence he believes belongs to Bumpy. 1609. Outside the warehouse, Isaac's men quietly take the east door. Leon controls the loading dock. The river exit remains open, as planned. Mercer arrives with Felix and stops 2 blocks away. He takes the rifle case but leaves the rifle inside. Tonight, no second shot is needed. Felix asks, "What do I do?" "Keep the engine running." "For who?" Mercer looks toward the warehouse. The man who understands first. He walks alone toward the side entrance. One of Bumpy's men sees him, does not stop him. That tells Mercer more than words. Inside, Ray stands over the covered body. The brown coat man waits beside him. Mercer enters through shadow, unseen. Bumpy is somewhere close, alive, watching. The room feels like a sentence before the final word. But the final word does not come. Not yet. Ray reaches toward the canvas. The warehouse doors close behind him. Silence gathers. Then the lights go out. 1610. The warehouse lights go out, not one by one, all at once. Darkness falls so completely that Ray Keller hears the river before he hears the men around him. Water against wood, wind through broken glass, the small movements of frightened bodies. Victor Sloan's replacement reaches inside his coat. A voice comes from the darkness. "Leave it." Bumpy Johnson. Calm, close, alive. The brown coat man freezes. Ray does not move. For 1 second, his mind refuses what his ears already know. The covered body remains beneath the lamp that no longer burns. The gunshot was real. The blood looked real. The silence afterward had felt final. But death is easy to imitate from a distance. Control is not. Ray whispers, "No." The darkness answers with nothing. Denial needs an audience. Silence gives it none. 1614. A light clicks on near the loading dock, not the ceiling lamps. A single portable light. Its narrow beam cuts across the floor. Ray sees the warehouse in pieces. The covered body. The brown coat man beside him. 2 guards near the entrance. Daniel Mercer standing in the shadows with a pistol lowered at his side. And Bumpy, 10 feet away, dark suit, white shirt, no visible weapon. Ray looks at Mercer first. Betrayal is easier to understand when it has a face. You missed. Mercer's expression does not change. No, you were paid to kill him. I was paid to fire a shot. Ray stares. The distinction is small. Small distinctions are where careful men bury disasters. Bumpy steps closer. You bought a weapon, Ray. Ray looks at him. Bumpy continues. But you forgot that every weapon has a history. The river strikes the pilings again. Slow. Patient. Like someone knocking from beneath the floor. 16:18. The brown coat man draws his gun. He moves quickly. Not quickly enough. Mercer turns. One shot strikes the floor beside the man's shoe. Concrete breaks. The gun falls from his hand. Bumpy's men emerge from the warehouse edges. Isaac near the east entrance. Leon by the loading dock. 2 more behind the refrigeration truck. No shouting. No unnecessary movement. Noise belongs to men still competing for control. Control has already been decided. Ray looks toward the open river exit. Unblocked. Waiting. Bumpy notices. Still looking for doors. Ray says nothing. A man shows his truth twice, Bumpy continues. Once when he enters a room. Again when he thinks he can leave it. Ray glances at Mercer. You believe him? Mercer looks at the covered body. Then at Ray. I believe the things you tried to hide. Belief built from evidence is difficult to purchase back. Ray reaches slowly toward his coat. Isaac raises his weapon. Bumpy lifts one hand. Let him. 16:22. Ray removes no gun, only a silver cigarette case. His fingers are steady. That matters to him. He lights a cigarette. The flame briefly reveals the old scar near his jaw. Bumpy remembers when Ray received it. A collection in East Harlem. A debtor with a bottle. Ray had been 26, hungry, useful. The kind of man who confused being needed with being respected. Ray inhales. You always liked performances. Bumpy looks at the false body. This one was yours. You moved it. You built the stage. Mercer walks to the stretcher and pulls away the canvas. A mannequin torso, sandbags, a dark coat. A packet of animal blood burst across the chest. Ray stares at it. 7 years of planning reduced to cloth and weight. A dead man assembled from expectation. Bumpy says, You saw what you needed to see. Ray exhales smoke. That's what you taught me. No. Bumpy's voice remains soft. I taught you to look. 16:26. Ray's 2 guards are searched, weapons removed. The brown coat man stands with blood running from a small cut above his eye. No one hit him. The concrete fragment did. Fear often injures men before violence begins. Isaac collects the Italian revolver from Mercer. He unwraps it on a crate. Ray sees the restaurant card tucked beneath its grip. The false evidence. The war waiting to be born. Bumpy examines the weapon. You chose Lombardi. Ray smiles faintly. A believable name. He's in Miami. The smile disappears. Bumpy continues. Salvatore knows the truth. By now other people do too. Ray looks toward the loading dock. His plan depended on speed. A shot. A rumor. Retaliation. Once facts enter early, anger loses direction. You warned them, Ray says. I prevented you from borrowing their name. Ray flicks ash onto the floor. You think that ends it? No. Bumpy places the revolver on the crate. It only ends the lie. 16:30. Mercer stands opposite Ray. The 2 men see each other clearly now. Employer, weapon. Neither role survives the room. Ray says, I gave you a name people feared. You gave me a target. I gave you $20,000. You gave Felix an order to kill me. Felix stands near the side door. His face lowers. Ray does not deny it. Denial becomes useless when every witness already knows the truth. You were a loose end, Ray says. Mercer almost smiles. And Bumpy? Ray's eyes move toward him. The beginning. There it is. Not business, not territory, not money. A wound dressed as ambition. Bumpy says, you built trucks, warehouses, clubs. Men answered your telephone. Judges knew your name. Ray's jaw tightens. And still, Bumpy continues, every room reminded you where you came from. Ray drops the cigarette, crushes it beneath his shoe. I came from nothing. Bumpy looks at him. No, you came from me. 1634. The words strike harder than an insult. Ray steps forward. Isaac moves. Bumpy stops him again. Let anger walk. It reveals its limp. Ray says, I built everything after Harlem, and spent 7 years building it against Harlem. I built an organization. You built an answer. To what? Bumpy pauses. To the day I let you live. The warehouse becomes still. Even Ray's men understand now. 7 years earlier, everyone expected Bumpy to execute him. Ray had stolen money, sold information, placed other men in danger. Bumpy exposed him before those he betrayed, then spared him. Mercy had not restored Ray. It had preserved the humiliation. Ray's voice hardens. You made me leave like a dog. I let you leave like a man. You took my name. You sold it before I took anything. Ray turns toward Mercer. He rewrites everything. Mercer answers, no. He remembers what you hoped time would erase. Time does not erase, it organizes. 1638. Bumpy removes an old ledger from inside his coat, places it on the crate beside the Italian revolver. Ray recognizes the cover. Black leather, cracked spine. The book used 7 years earlier. Every stolen payment, every false account, every meeting Ray had sold. Numbers do not hate. They do not forgive. They wait for someone to read them aloud. Bumpy opens the ledger. $50 from Colson. Ray looks away. $120 from the Lennox rooms. Silence. 3 schedules sold to men across the river. Enough. Bumpy closes the book. You wanted the men here to think this was about power. Ray's breathing changes. It is. No. Bumpy looks toward the false body. This is about embarrassment. Ray laughs once, sharp, empty. You think I crossed 7 years for embarrassment? A man will cross a lifetime to avoid admitting what shaped it. Mercer watches Ray carefully. A killer studies movement. Bumpy studies motive. Both are waiting for the same mistake. 1642. Ray looks toward his guards. Neither meets his eyes. Loyalty changes when the employer becomes the weakest man in the room. He says, You think they follow you because they love you? Bumpy answers, No. They fear you. Sometimes, you buy them. When necessary. Ray steps closer. Then what makes you different from me? Bumpy does not answer immediately. The right answer needs no speed. I know what they are paying for. Ray frowns. Bumpy continues. You wanted fear to become respect, money to become loyalty, survival to become victory. He looks around the warehouse. You keep renaming things because you cannot live with their true names. The brown coat man lowers his eyes. Ray sees it. Public humiliation again. 7 years have circled back to the same position. Men watching. Bumpy speaking calmly. Ray losing control without anyone touching him. Repetition is cruel when the lesson remains unlearned. Ray whispers, I should have killed you myself. Bumpy nods. Yes. The agreement frightens Ray more than resistance would. 1646. Mercer takes the photograph of his father from inside his coat, the false one. Thomas Mercer on a warehouse floor. Bumpy pasted into the background. He places it beside Ray's ledger. You made this. Ray looks at the image. I showed you the truth. Mercer places the childhood laundry photograph beside it. Two histories, one manufactured, one faded by time. My father lived after Bumpy paid his debt. Ray says nothing. He worked in Pennsylvania. Silence. My mother survived. Ray looks toward Bumpy. You believe paper? Mercer's eyes remain flat. I believe you tried to replace my memory before it returned. Ray's voice sharpens. You remember nothing. Mercer looks at the childhood photograph. I remember enough. Bumpy watches him. The full truth has not yet been spoken between them. Not directly. The warehouse is not only Ray's reckoning, it is Daniel's. A man cannot choose freely until the last lie has been removed. Bumpy steps away from Ray, turns toward Mercer. Raise the gun. 1650. Isaac looks at Bumpy. Leon does too. Mercer remains still. Bumpy repeats, raise it. Mercer slowly lifts the pistol. The barrel points at Bumpy's chest. Ray's expression changes. Hope returns. Not much. Enough to make him dangerous again. Bumpy walks into the open space beneath the portable light. No cover, no weapon, no man between him and the gun. 7 years ago, Bumpy says, your father owed more money than he could repay. Mercer's grip tightens. The Italians were looking for him. Then they started looking for your mother. Ray watches, confused. Bumpy continues. You were inside the laundry, behind the boiler. Your mother kept one hand over your mouth when cars stopped outside. The memory reaches Mercer. A dark room, steam, his mother trembling, footsteps beyond the wall. Bumpy's voice. I paid the debt. Mercer does not lower the gun. Not yet. 1654. I gave your father work, Bumpy says. I gave your family a car before daylight. Mercer sees fragments. A coat around his shoulders. His father unable to meet Bumpy's eyes. His mother whispering thank you. A broad man standing in a doorway. Not threatening. Blocking the darkness behind them. Bumpy looks directly down the barrel. How much did they pay you to kill the man who saved your father? Ray's face empties. Your mother? Mercer's hand begins to shake. And you? The warehouse disappears around him. Only the barrel. Bumpy. The old doorway. Ray says, he's lying. No one looks at him. Bumpy continues. If after hearing this, you still want to do your job, he opens his hands. Pull the trigger. Silence. Complete. The river. The wind. Mercer's breath. A life can turn on a sound that never happens. His finger rests on the trigger, then moves away. The pistol lowers. Not quickly. Permanently. 1658. Ray steps toward Mercer. You weak bastard. Mercer turns the pistol toward him. Ray stops. No emotion remains in Mercer's face now. The decision has removed it. You used my father, Mercer says. I used an opportunity. You used my mother. I gave you a reason. You gave me a lie. Ray's voice rises. He would have killed you eventually. Bumpy says nothing. Mercer looks at Ray. That was never your decision. The sentence ends their relationship, not the contract, not the payment, the authority. Ray can no longer command the weapon he selected. Bumpy walks back toward the crate. He does not thank Mercer. Gratitude would reduce the moment to a favor. Mercer did not spare him because he was asked. He chose not to murder the man who had saved his family. Choice matters. It is the last property a controlled man recovers. Ray looks toward the open river exit again. Still available, still waiting. Bumpy notices. Go ahead. 1702. Ray looks at him. You're letting me leave? I left a door open. That isn't the same thing. No. Bumpy closes the ledger. It never is. Ray understands the trap. The river exit leads to the loading dock. Isaac's men may be outside, or they may not. The main door is controlled, his guards disarmed, his plan exposed. Every direction belongs to someone else. Ray says, You won't kill me here. Bumpy tilts his head. Why? Too many witnesses. Bumpy looks around. At your men? The brown coat man looks away. At mine? Isaac says nothing. At Daniel? Mercer lowers his pistol completely. Bumpy turns back to Ray. Witnesses matter when someone plans to tell the story. Ray tries to read him, fails. A man who once worked for Bumpy should understand his silences, but 7 years of hatred have translated them badly. Ray reaches slowly into his coat. This time, he removes a small pistol. 1706. The brown coat man shouts, Ray. Ray raises the weapon, not at Bumpy, at Mercer, the man who betrayed the plan. Mercer moves. Isaac moves. A shot cracks through the warehouse. The pistol leaves Ray's hand. It spins across the floor. Ray grips his wrist. No blood visible. The bullet struck the weapon. Mercer's shot. Precise. Controlled. A warning with no room left inside it. Ray stares at him. Mercer says, That was the last decision you make for me. Bumpy walks to the fallen pistol, kicks it beneath the crate. No one speaks. Violence has already said enough. Ray breathes heavily. Pain, humiliation, disbelief. Bumpy stands directly before him, closer than 7 years ago, older now, calmer. Ray looks at the warehouse doors, the canvas, the false body, the men who no longer belong to him. His entire organization feels very far away. Power disappears first as distance, then as silence. 1710. Bumpy opens the old ledger again, not to read, to let Ray see it. When you stole my money, Bumpy says, I spared your life. Ray's face hardens. When you stole my trust, I spared your freedom. The river wind moves the hanging canvas. But today, you tried to steal my future. Bumpy looks toward the Italian revolver, the false evidence, the war, the men who would have died without knowing why, Harlem waking to retaliation, families caught between names. There are no second chances for that. No one moves. Ray waits for a gun, a command, a final word. None comes. Bumpy closes the ledger. The sound is small, final. He turns toward Isaac. Take the others outside. Ray looks around. What about me? Bumpy does not face him. That question stopped belonging to you when you entered the room. Isaac leads the guards and the brown coat man toward the main entrance. Mercer remains. Leon remains. Ray remains. 1714. Outside, the evening air is cold near the river. The brown coat man and Ray's guards are placed inside separate cars. No one is beaten. No one is threatened. Isaac asks each man one question. Do you still work for Ray Keller? The first guard says no, quickly. The second waits 3 seconds, then says no. The brown coat man says nothing. Isaac opens his car door. You can leave. The man looks confused. Just leave? Isaac nods. Mercy again, but not kindness. A man released after witnessing collapse carries the story farther than a corpse. The brown coat man walks toward the road. His pace increases. Soon he is running. Ray's name is already weakening behind him. Organizations do not die when the leader disappears. They die when the first employee realizes he can survive without permission. Inside the warehouse, Ray hears car engines depart, one, then another. Each sound removes a piece of his world. He looks at Bumpy. "You're taking my men," Bumpy answers. "No. They're leaving you." 17:18. Mercer stands near the loading dock. Bumpy approaches. Ray remains under Leon's watch. Mercer says, "My contract is finished." "Yes. What happens now?" "To you?" Mercer nods. Bumpy looks toward the river. "That depends on whether you still sell your aim." Mercer almost smiles. "Is that advice?" "No. What is it?" "A debt ends when both men stop carrying it." Mercer studies him. "My father owed you. Your father owed money. And me? You were a child." Mercer looks down at the pistol. "I came here to kill you. But you didn't. That makes us even?" Bumpy turns toward him. "No. It makes us finished." The distinction settles between them. Bumpy does not claim Mercer, does not recruit him, does not demand loyalty. A favor becomes corruption when repayment is forced. Mercer places the pistol on a crate. "Ray has records at the Queen's Depot." "I know. Names inside Harlem." "I know some." Mercer gives him the address of a hidden second ledger. "Now you know all." 17:22. Bumpy takes the address. "What will you do?" Mercer looks toward Ray. "Leave." "Where?" "A place without this job." Bumpy folds the paper. "There are no places without the last job." Mercer nods. "Then somewhere it takes longer to arrive." He walks toward the side exit. Ray calls after him. "Daniel." Mercer stops. Ray says, "I made you." Mercer turns. "No. My father did." Then he looks at Bumpy. "And someone let him live long enough to try." Mercer leaves. Felix's green sedan waits 2 blocks away, its engine running. For the first time that day, the car has no assigned route. Felix asks no questions when Mercer enters. They drive away from the river. No celebration, no promise, only distance. Some men survive because they win. Others survive because they finally understand which war was never theirs. The warehouse door closes behind them. Ray is now alone with the man he failed to kill twice. 17:26. Leon stands near Ray. Bumpy walks to the false body, pulls the canvas over it again. Ray watches. "What is this?" "Your confirmation." "You brought me here to humiliate me." "No." "To make me beg?" "No." "Then kill me." Bumpy looks at him. Ray steps closer. "Do it." His voice cracks, not from fear, from exhaustion. 7 years of resentment have finally reached the room they promised. There is nothing behind the door, only the same shame. Bumpy says, "Death would make you simpler than you are." Ray laughs bitterly. "You said there are no second chances." "There aren't." "What does that mean?" Bumpy walks toward the loading dock. "It means there is no Harlem left for you to return to." Ray follows one step. Leon blocks him. Bumpy does not look back. 7 years earlier, exile had spared Ray's future. Tonight, something else is being removed. Not explained, not witnessed. The absence of explanation is part of the sentence. 17:30. A dark sedan waits outside the river door. Driver unseen behind the glass. Rear door open. Ray looks at it, then at Bumpy. "Where does that go?" Bumpy says nothing. Ray turns toward Leon. No answer. The warehouse behind him is emptying. Isaac's men remove the false evidence, the Italian revolver, the photographs, the ledger copies. Every piece of Ray's planned story disappears. Soon, nothing will remain except the room and memory. Ray says, "You can't erase me." Bumpy pauses beside his Buick. "I don't erase men." "What do you call this?" Bumpy gets inside. "I let the city decide what it remembers." The Buick door closes. Ray stands beside the open sedan. No weapon, no men, no plan. Only one available direction. Leon gestures toward the rear seat. Ray does not move. The driver starts the engine. Low, steady. Time isn't numbers, it's alignment. At 17:30, every road Ray built has aligned with one open door. 1734. Ray enters the sedan, not because he is forced physically, because every other choice has been removed. Leon closes the door. The car pulls away from the warehouse. No license plate light, no escort, no destination spoken. Ray looks through the rear window. Bumpy's Buick turns in the opposite direction. For years, Ray imagined Bumpy watching him die. Instead, Bumpy does not watch him leave. That is worse. Hatred wants recognition. Punishment without attention feels like erasure. The sedan follows the river north. Ray tests the door handle. Locked. He looks toward the driver. "Who are you?" No answer. "Where are we going?" The driver keeps both hands on the wheel. The city thins. Warehouses become empty lots. Streetlights become farther apart. Ray leans back. For the first time in 7 years, he has no schedule, no report, no man waiting for instructions. Control has become a road he cannot see beyond. The sedan continues into darkness. 1738. Bumpy returns to Harlem before sunset disappears completely. The diner is open. The waitress replaces the sugar jar. A man reads racing results at the counter. Different man. Real newspaper. Bumpy takes the rear booth. Same seat. Same window. Same mirror. Routine restored. Not because it is safe, because fear did not earn the right to change it. Isaac sits opposite him. The Queen's Depot is secured. Records? Taken. Ray's men? Most already calling. Offering loyalty? Information. Bumpy pours coffee. Same thing on the first night. Isaac asks, "What do we tell them about Ray?" Nothing. They'll ask. Let them. Silence creates more stories than explanation ever could. Isaac studies Bumpy. Is he alive? Bumpy raises the coffee cup. Right now? Isaac nods. Bumpy drinks. Does not answer. Some truths become weaker when spoken. Some power comes from leaving a question exactly where it began. 1742. Leon enters the diner, takes off his hat, sits beside Isaac. The sedan cleared Harlem. Bumpy looks at him. Any trouble? No. The driver? Followed the route. After? Leon pauses. He knows what to do. Isaac does not ask what that means. Neither does the waitress. She brings toast. Bumpy leaves it untouched. Outside, evening settles over Lenox Avenue. Shutters lower. Signs glow. People laugh outside a club. Harlem has avoided a war it never knew was planned. The Italians will hear the truth through careful channels. Ray's organization will divide before morning. Some men will disappear. Others will change employers. The city will continue. Cities are cruel that way. A man can spend years preparing to become their center, then vanish without delaying breakfast. Bumpy looks through the window. A black Lincoln passes once. Empty. No brown-hatted driver. No second pass. The street is quiet, but it does not close. 1746. At the Queen's Depot, men open Ray's office. No resistance. The silver-framed photograph is removed from the wall. The ledger disappears into Isaac's case. The drawer contains the torn image of Ray beside Bumpy. Half of Bumpy's face, half of Ray's. The tear runs between them. Isaac studies it, then places both pieces inside the ledger. Not sentiment, evidence. In another drawer, they find lists of payments planned after Bumpy's death. Union clerks, drivers, police contacts. 2 men inside Harlem. 1 man connected to the Italian social club. Every future betrayal written before the murder. Ray trusted paper because paper did not judge him. But paper survives its owner. By midnight, every name is known. No arrests, no public confrontation, only doors closing, telephone calls unanswered, payments stopped. Men discovering their protection has evaporated. An empire can fall loudly. Ray's falls through silence, one disconnected line at a time. 1750. Mercer and Felix cross the state line before dark. Felix finally asks, "Is Bumpy alive?" Mercer looks through the passenger window. "Yes." "And Ray?" "I don't know." Felix grips the steering wheel. "Does that bother you?" "No." "Why?" "Because he wanted everyone else to live inside a story he wrote." Mercer takes the false photograph of his father from his coat. Tears it once, then again. The childhood photograph remains in his wallet, untouched. Felix asks, "Where are we going?" Mercer thinks. "West." "That's not a place." "It is tonight." The road opens ahead, long, darkening. Mercer closes his eyes for a moment. He sees the laundry doorway, his mother, his father, Bumpy. Memory does not return completely. It does not need to. A man does not need every detail of the bridge behind him. Only the knowledge that someone once kept it from burning. The green sedan continues west. 1754. The dark sedan carrying Ray passes beyond the last crowded blocks. An industrial road, abandoned factories, open ground. Ray watches for landmarks, tries to construct direction, north first, then west, maybe south. The driver uses turns that break memory, a professional route. Ray begins speaking, not because the driver answers, because silence is winning. "I have money." No response. "More than Johnson will pay." The driver keeps moving. "I have accounts nobody knows." Nothing. Ray leans forward. "You can leave me anywhere. I disappear. Nobody sees me again." The driver looks at him through the mirror for the first time. "You already disappeared." Ray stops speaking. The words are not a threat. They are a fact delivered early. The sedan turns onto a dirt road. Headlights move across trees. No houses. No traffic. Ray's reflection floats in the dark window. For years, he wanted to become a name larger than Bumpy's shadow. Now even his own face looks borrowed. 1758. Back at the diner, Bumpy opens the newspaper from morning. The advertisement is still missing from the business section. A clean rectangle. Warehouse space near the river. The address Ray once used to begin the day's deception. Now the warehouse belongs to no plan. Only dust. Isaac asks, "You knew from the message?" "No." "From the rifle room?" "No." "The laundry?" Bumpy thinks, from the way everything pointed too clearly. Ray had arranged Italians, a professional shooter, old safe houses, visible surveillance, each clue demanding to be noticed. Truth rarely begs for attention. A lie does. Leon says, "He nearly pulled it off." Bumpy folds the newspaper. Nearly is where dead plans live. The waitress pours more coffee. This time, Bumpy lets her fill the cup. The day began with a routine studied by another man. It ends with the routine intact. That is not comfort. It is a statement. A man cannot control whether danger watches him, only what danger learns. 1802, police receive an anonymous call shortly after 6. No name, no explanation. Only a location outside Harlem. A road near an abandoned textile plant. 2 officers arrive 20 minutes later. They find Ray Keller's black Lincoln, not the dark sedan. The Lincoln used throughout the operation. Driver's door open, keys still inside. No blood, no weapon, no signs of struggle. A wallet rests in the glove compartment. Ray's identification remains inside, cash untouched. His silver cigarette case lies on the passenger seat. The car looks abandoned in the middle of a thought. Police search the nearby lots. The factory, the drainage ditch, the tree line. Nothing. No footprints clear enough to follow. No witnesses. No body. A missing man creates more work than a dead one. Death closes possibilities. Absence multiplies them. By nightfall, Ray Keller has no location. By morning, he has become a question. 1806. News reaches Harlem before the police release it. It always does. A mechanic hears from an officer. A bartender hears from the mechanic. A bookmaker hears from the bartender. By midnight, there are 5 versions. Ray fled with Bumpy's money. Ray was taken south. Ray boarded a ship. Ray was buried beneath the warehouse floor. Ray made a deal with police and entered protection. None can be proved. That is why all survive. The brown coat man tells no one what he saw, but he stops working for Ray. Felix disappears west. Daniel Mercer becomes a name spoken only by men who hire professionals and discover he no longer answers. The Italians issue no retaliation. Harlem sends none. A war ends before its first casualty. People later call it restraint, luck, diplomacy. They do not know how close the city came to waking beneath gunfire. The best victories often look like nothing happened. 1810. Bumpy leaves the diner. Leon brings the Buick to the curb. Isaac remains behind to settle the bill. The night air is colder now. Harlem has changed shifts. Daymen go home. Nightmen arrive. Music escapes from open doors. A couple argues beneath a streetlight. A boy carries groceries for his mother. Life continues without understanding what protected it. Bumpy pauses beside the car. Across the avenue, the abandoned tailor shop window is black. No rifle, no blankets, no watcher, only a room. Leon opens the rear door. Bumpy looks once toward the diner booth. Tomorrow he may sit there again, or choose another place. Routine is useful, but only when it belongs to you. He gets inside. The Buick moves north. No tail appears. No second car replaces the first. For the first time that day, absence means exactly what it looks like. Nothing behind them. 1814. Isaac joins Bumpy at a small office later that evening. Ray's ledger rests on the desk. Beside it lies Thomas Mercer's letter. 2 records, one of betrayal, one of gratitude. Both survived 7 years. Isaac asks, "What do we do with Ray's organization? Separate what works from who owned it. The trucking depot? Keep it running. The clubs? New management. The men who agreed to join him?" Bumpy opens the ledger. Depends why. Money? Everyone needs money. Ambition? Everyone has ambition. Betrayal? Bumpy looks up. That has a different price. Isaac nods. No names spoken. No sentences announced. Judgment will come quietly, procedurally, one account at a time. Bumpy takes Thomas Mercer's letter and places it in a separate drawer. Not with Ray's ledger. Debts and favors should never share the same book. One is collected, the other is released. That difference is what Ray never understood. 1818. Leon enters with the final report. The car was found. Bumpy closes the drawer. Where? Outside the city. Police? Searching? Anything inside? Keys, wallet, cigarette case. Bumpy nods. Leon waits. Do we need to do anything? No. What if Ray returns? Bumpy looks toward the dark window. Harlem lights below. If he returns, he will return without the thing he came for. Respect? Permission, Leon thinks. Ray wanted Harlem to acknowledge him as something larger than Bumpy's former man. Instead, he became what he feared most. a man defined entirely by his last attempt to escape Bumpy's name. Leon asks, did he deserve the first chance? Bumpy's answer comes slowly. Deserving is a word people use after mercy. What matters before? Choice. Bumpy stands. I gave him one. And tonight he spent what was left. 1822 years pass. Ray Keller is never seen again. No confirmed photograph. No reliable witness. No grave. His organization breaks into smaller pieces. The trucking depot survives under new ownership. The clubs change names. The men who once waited for Ray's orders begin claiming they barely knew him. History is full of employees who become strangers after the payroll ends. Daniel Mercer remains absent from Harlem. Once, years later, Bumpy receives a postcard with no return address. A desert road. 2 words written on the back. Debt closed. Bumpy reads it once, then burns it, not to hide it, to honor it. A debt truly closed should leave no record demanding to be reopened. Thomas Mercer's letter remains in the drawer. Ray's ledger does too. One paper proves a life was saved. The other proves a life was wasted trying to defeat the meaning of mercy. Paper is colder than steel. It also lasts longer. 1826. Harlem keeps inventing endings for Ray. Some say he escaped to Cuba. Some say the Italians found him first. Some say Bumpy locked him inside a room and made him listen while his empire disappeared. Others say Ray still walks through distant cities under another name. Older, silent, turning whenever someone says Harlem. Bumpy corrects none of them. A legend becomes useful when every version warns against the same mistake. Ray stole money. Bumpy spared him. Ray sold trust. Bumpy spared his freedom. Then Ray tried to turn one man's death into a war that would bury hundreds. That was different. Mercy can survive insult. It can survive ingratitude. It cannot survive a man mistaking it for unlimited permission. There are second chances for weakness, sometimes even for betrayal, but not for a man who uses mercy to finance another attempt at destruction. 1830. One evening, years later, Bumpy sits in the same diner. Black coffee, toast untouched, a folded newspaper beside his hand. The waitress has changed. The mirror has not. Outside, Lenox Avenue moves beneath rain. A young man at the counter tells another the story of Ray Keller. His version includes a warehouse, a body beneath a tarp, a car found with its door open. The ending is wrong. Most endings are. The young man asks, "What do you think happened to him?" His friend shrugs. Bumpy made him disappear. Bumpy hears them, says nothing. The waitress pours more coffee. He watches the street through the window, the door through the mirror, front and back, present and past. Time isn't numbers, it's alignment. Ray spent 7 years waiting for the moment Bumpy became vulnerable. He never understood. The moment had been waiting for him.